सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। From 7 तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनम् तथादिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम् Haraprasad.
I'm having some difficulty, Mahodaya.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, who is next? Yeah, Sapna. तथाधिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम्
आदिमध्यान्तविहीनमेकम्
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
विभुं चिदानन्दमरूपमद्भुतम्
उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुम्
उमासहायं परमेश्वरं प्रभुम्
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम्
त्रिलोचनं नीलकण्ठं प्रशान्तम्
ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिम्
ध्यात्वा मुनिर्गच्छति भूतयोनिम्
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्
समस्तसाक्षिं तमसः परस्तात्
सब्रह्मा सशिवः सेन्द्रः
स ब्रह्मा स शिवः सेन्द्रः
सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट्
सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट्
स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः
स एव विष्णुः स प्राणः
स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः
स कालोऽग्निः स चन्द्रमाः
स एव सर्वं यद्भूतम्
स एव सर्वं यद्भूतम्
यच्च भव्यं सनातनम्
यच्च भव्यं सनातनम्
ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति
ज्ञात्वा तं मृत्युमत्येति
नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये
नान्यः पन्था विमुक्तये ये
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानम्
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानम्
सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि
सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि
सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमम्
सम्पश्यन् ब्रह्म परमम्
याति नान्येन हेतुना
याति नान्येन हेतुना
आत्मानम् अरणिं कृत्वा
आत्मानम् अरणिम् कृत्वा
प्रणवम् चोत्तरारणिम्
प्रणवम् चोत्तरारणिम्
ज्ञाननिर्मथनाभ्यासात्
ज्ञाननिर्मथनाभ्यासात्
पाशम् दहति पण्डितः.
पाशम् दहति पण्डितः
Yeah. So we were looking at this mantra last time. Atmanam aranim kritva, where an illustration is given of the arani mathanam. We saw what an arani was and what arani mathanam is. And it is said here that visualize this process that we are going through as a process of creating a fire through arani mathanam, through the churning of the uttararani on the adhorani, churning off or the friction between the upper arani and the lower arani. This is what we saw. That is the imagery. And the lower arani is my mind. The upper arani, that rod, is pranava mantra, omkara, in other words. Then the rope with which I am pulling that rod is the shastram. In other words, the mahavakyas, shastra vakyas that create that knowledge, whose understanding creates that knowledge. Okay. And using omkara in this case as an aid for understanding. Okay. So that is how we visualized this imagery. That is how it should be visualized. And we spent a lot of time on one particular idea of this shabda and shabdartha, a word and its meaning. A word has a meaning, and that is also not enough, really speaking. A word can have many meanings, and then you have to know the context in order to really understand which of those meanings. Okay. Okay, which of those meanings? Where is my pot? Okay. So if I say pot, then this thing comes to your mind. But really speaking, if a mother is talking to the son, and then college going son, and then the word pot comes, you know what it means in America? It means this ganja. It means cocaine. It means some white powder. It has nothing to do with this pot. In America, when the mother is talking to the teenage son, it is not this pot. Most likely not this pot, correct? So context also is needed. So much is going on, we take for granted. And so we saw that last time. That the word is intricately connected to the meaning. In fact, meaning is not separate from the word. And that's how it should be. And to come to that point, lot of samskara is needed. Lot of samskara. And the child has to be coached, the child has to be taught, and the child has to imagine, and the child has to be alive to all the things that are going on. And the child's mind is so active, ready to absorb whatever comes. And so that samskara, it keeps on building. And as children, we used to learn, we knew four languages, five. I used to know Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, and then of course English, and then they taught Sanskrit also, and everything. So we know there was no problem. We were just learning all these languages just like that. We didn't say, "Oh my God, Sanskrit. What if I fail the exam?" These ideas we did not have. We were just part of the process. And so that's the beauty of this. And so what we are saying here is, why we said all that is, when the word is uttered to understand something, that samskara is needed. And and so when the word Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna, when somebody utters, hey, Jai Shri Krishna, they say, Jai Shri Krishna, when somebody says, my God, that's just the ethos of the entire culture. The 10,000 years of history is sitting in that word. At least 5,000 years of Mahabharata is there in Jai Shri Krishna. And like that, Jai Shri Ram, if they say, there's so much in that word, Shri Ram. And that is supposed to help us. So when we do japa, when we do dhyanam on these words, that will create even more samskara. It needs samskara to appreciate, and then it creates even more samskara. It creates a samskara for the mind. The chitta shuddhi keeps on improving. Why? Why do I need chitta shuddhi? For understanding the shastra. So that's the purpose of bringing this the idea of word and its meaning. The word is called abhidhanam. Now I'm introducing a new word. Abhidhanam. The word is called abhidhanam. And the meaning it generates in my mind. One second. There is a artha. Okay, the meaning it generates in my mind, the artha is called abhideyaha. Abhidhanam, abhideyaha. Very important words. That literally it means that. So when a word is uttered, immediately a meaning gets generated in the mind. It's called arthaspuranam. Arthaspuranam. Aspuranam means that generation, that thing that happens in the mind that says, I understand everything you're saying. I understand. If you say that means arthaspuranam is constantly happening, constantly. Ideally, when we are listening to somebody, arthaspuranam should be happening constantly. And if it didn't happen, you make a note and say that I did not follow it. Wait. What did you say just now? So, why? Because we do want to follow everything that people, even in conversation, we want to follow. Okay, so that abhidhanam is that abhideyaha. So now, this omkara is the abhidhanam in this mantra. Mantra is introducing pranava. Pranava is the name for omkara. Omkara is the name for Bhagavan Ishvara. And so omkara is called abhidhanam word, which will have an abhideya. Every word has to mean something, and the omkara also is a name which should create an arthaspuranam in my mind. And that is the arthaspuranam of Ishvara, Bhagavan. So we are doing, if we were to do a namakaranam for Bhagavan, Bhagavan is born, we have to give Bhagavan a name. Suppose somebody says, how will you do it? So we'll discuss that. But before we go there, this pranava has to be understood. I don't want to simply say pranava and then omkara and then walk away from this mantra. Let's understand the meaning of Omkaraha. I've talked about it before, but I don't mind repeating it. In Kathopanishad, Omkara was introduced by Yamadharmaraja. You all remember that? Raise your hands if you remember it. Yeah, so many of you remember it. And this boy is asking the question, Anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat. Tell me that which is other than dharma and adharma. Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha. Tell me something, tell me that which is other than past and future and present. Anyatra asmat kritat akritat. Hey, tell me something that is other than cause and effect. This is it. This boy has figured out, he has defined the whole world itself. The entire universe, all its forces, all phenomena, everything is been collapsed in this question. Cause and effect, you tell me, other than means what? What kind of question is that? And then yattat pashyasi tadvada. What you see as the answer to my question, that you tell me. Like that, pinpointed question it is. There's no wiggle room. And then Yama must have realized it. This boy is too much. And so he gives the answer. You know what answer he gives? Sarve Vedaha Yat Padamamananti Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yat Badanti. If you are looking up, it is 1.2.5. Sarve Veda Yat Padamamananti. Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amananti. All the Vedas, that which all the Vedas are talking about, Yat Padam, that essential message that all Vedas are talking about. Sarve Veda Yat Padamamananti Tapamsi Sarvani Cha Yat Vadanti. And in order to get to that Padam, Tapamsi, Sarvani Tapamsi, all the disciplines that the Vedas talk about. Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti. And you know what? The people who desire that Padam, Brahmacharyam Charanti, they take to a life of Brahmacharya, means a life of discipline. Okay, Tatte Padam Sangrahenam Bravimi. That Padam, let me tell you briefly. Sangrahena Bravimi. Om Ityetat. Ityetat is Upanishad words. Om is the word said by our Yamadharmaraja. Om. Or Om Ityetat. Yama said. Om iti, it is called Om. Like that he said. What do you get out of this? You get nothing out of it because you have to explain Om now. He has introduced the word Om, and then Om is the answer. Om is what Veda is talking about. That means this sound Om is a very significant sound. For now, it is only a sound. Until I know the meaning, it is just a sound. And it is a sound symbol indeed. It is not a word in Sanskrit. Really speaking, it is not a word. It is a sound. It's a sound. And it's a sound symbol. Even though we write Om in certain ways and all that, it is just a particular symbol that is somebody assigned to it. But such a symbol doesn't exist in Sanskrit. So we should not go around telling this symbol is a Sanskrit symbol at all. No, it's not a Sanskrit symbol. It's not there in the Sanskrit language. It is a symbol for this sound. All right. So that is where we got introduced to this Omkara. And then he explains a lot. And the implication is whatever I explained is the meaning of Om. That Ishvara that I explained to you is the meaning of Om. That Jiveshwara Aikyam I explained to you is the meaning of Om. That Padam, he said, Padam. So Ishvara Padam. Okay. All right. That is an introduction to us about the importance of Omkar. All right. First, there are three meanings that I'm going to give you now for this Omkara. Okay? First is a linguistic meaning. It has a linguistic meaning. Linguistic means you can actually derive Om from the rules of Sanskrit. Okay. Om Sahana Vavatu, we say. Sahana Vavatu. That saha, now, avatu is there. Three words are there in that. Avatu. That word avatu means what? Rakshatu. Ava rakshane. Ava means rakshanam in the sense of protection. May he protect us. That is the meaning of sahana vavatu. All right. So that ava, you take ava, and then there is a prefix called, suffix called man. Man pratyay. Ava man. Man also is added in the sense of complete protection. In Sanskrit, that man pratyaya is there. And so our man gets added. And so then what happens? There are some rules which take away the na. The na drops off. So ava ma is there. Ava ma. And then there is a rule called samprasaranam, which converts the va into u. A u ma it becomes. And then a plus u becomes o. A plus u is o, And so o, then makara is there. Therefore, om. This is how linguistically omkara is derived. How is it derived? Again, for those who are interested, ava is a dhatu. It's a dhatu. It's a dhatu which will lead to a verb, or it can lead to a noun also. So that ava is in the sense of protection. Man pratyaya also in the sense of protection. And then ava plus man, avaman. Then nakara drops off, avam. Then va becomes u, that is auma, aum. Then a plus u is o, therefore om. This is the linguistic derivation of om. The word om. If we consider om to be a word, then that's the derivation. All right, now leave it aside. This is the linguistic meaning, derivation of om, and the meaning is what? That which sustains everything, that which protects everything is the meaning of this linguistic meaning of om. All right. Now, the second meaning of om is a Vedic meaning. Vedic meaning. Vedic meaning means Vedas loads the sound om. Loads means what? Gives the meaning of Ishvara, Bhagavan, to this om, the sound om. Okay? Just like we do it in many places. We do it in many places. We take a piece of cloth and then put some symbol on the cloth, and then we say it is a flag. And then not only it is a flag, and flag is not an ordinary thing. The entire country the entire country is there in front of you. This piece of cloth is enough, and that's enough. The entire history of the country is projected on this cloth. The entire aspirations of the country are projected on this cloth. All the struggles and the freedom and so on and so forth that the people got. Everything is just by looking at the cloth, the body becomes will salute the cloth. Why? It is only a piece of cloth? No, it is not a piece of cloth. It's no longer a piece of cloth. It is okay. Object wise, it's a piece of cloth, but it represents something else, something totally different. And the child will slowly come to know about that. Every time it keeps on saluting on Republic Day or Independence Day, then it says, oh, this cloth is an important piece of cloth. And the countries will have rules about how to treat this flag and who should raise it, when they should raise it, what time, when should it be, half mast, full mast. They have all these rules. That's called loading. Loading. And so even in our puja and all, we load. Saligrame Vishnum Dhyayet. Means there is a Saligrama Linga is there. Crystal. Saligrama crystal is there. And then Vishnum Dhyayet. May you invoke Vishnu or an avatar of Vishnu into or onto this Saligrama Shila, a piece of crystal. Pure loading it is. That is loaded by the Shastra. And like that, your family album, your parents have come, I mean, your relatives have come and they did not attend the marriage of your son, and now they want to see the album. And then it's an album. You just keep open the pages and then keep looking. This, so many people are there. Okay, now there's a lot of reality attributed to that album. The people in the album are all sitting in all parts of the world, but the album is showing the people as though they are right there in front of you. You can visualize the entire marriage ceremony happening, and this and that, and what happened to her, and where is she, and I'm happy she's here. Like this, all these questions, the whole history comes, past history just comes rushing. Everything is loaded on these pictures. Pictures makes it easier because picture is pratyaksha, you can see the person. All right, so that kind of a loading is done. And what type of loading it is? For example, the sound Om has three parts, as we saw: Akara, Ukara, and Makara. In Sanskrit, the letter A, the letter U, and the letter Ma. All right, now the loading starts. The Akara letter A is loaded with Jagrad Avastha, this waking world. The life of a human being is composed of three states: Jagrad Avastha, Swapna Avastha, and Sushupti Avastha. Okay, three states. Once you add these three states, that's it. My life is completely defined. Okay, and so you can say Jagrad Avastha, which is the state when I experience the physical world, which means the not only Jagrad Avastha, but Jagat also is projected on Akara, the physical world itself. Why? Because in the waking state only I experience the physical world. Okay. So the experienced world, the experience, and the experiencer. Let me repeat that. The experienced world, the actual experience, and the experiencer also. Experiencer is the waker. I am awake. I am the waker. That entire thing is encapsulated and loaded onto the letter Akara. And waking world, physical world means there's only a few things I know in this physical world. What about the rest of the universe? If we ask, bring the entire universe. Potentially knowable. All the knowables are all there, which means the entire world, entire universe. Everything is knowable. My mind is alpa buddhi, therefore I can know only little bit. But bring everything. That is akara. Okay, this is that akara. Huh? Loaded akara with jagrad avastha or the jagat, physical world as we know it. The universe, the known plus unknown. Okay. Now, ukaraha. Ukaraha. Move away from the physical world because physical world for me does not exist when I am dreaming. Okay, but there is another world, like a physical world, there is another world I am experiencing. It's called the Swapna, and a dream, and the Avastha, the state is called Swapna Avastha. Okay, and so that entire world, which is not an ordinary world, I take it as real when I am dreaming, and therefore I can come out and say it's not real and all that, but the dream is real in dream. That world is called Ukaraha. That world is projected onto Ukaraha. That world is superimposed on the letter U. Loaded. Like I'm loading the flag, the country on the flag. That dream world is loaded onto this letter Ukaraha. Alright. So the thought world is projected. And now the last letter is Makara. Makara is the deep sleep experience. It is the state of deep sleep. The state of deep sleep, nothing is objectified. There is absolutely no thought at all. But there is the experience. That experience is somehow getting recorded. Even though we are sleeping, even though the mind is inactive, it gets recorded because I wake up and do say, my God, I didn't know that so many 6 hours have passed. I must have slept well, and I indeed slept well. I feel rested. Okay, that's it. That is a proof for me that there was a sleep, no doubt, dreamless sleep. I was not awake for sure. Okay, but I was sleeping, and it was also a sleep without dream. And so, whatever I express that in so many words. So the entire that state, that is the only state that is remaining if you take away the waking state and the dream state, and that state is projected onto the letter makara or We don't say in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, we say makara. All right. Physical world, dream world, and a state where all these worlds are unmanifest. So the first two are manifestations, and the third is unmanifest state. Unmanifest because the world has not disappeared. It is about to come back to the same state the world was when I just before I went to sleep. And that's why it's called unmanifest. All right. Therefore, Om means it is the sum total of all three worlds, all three experiences, all three uh, states of experience, and all three individuals also, because we are the same individual, all right. But I call myself a waker, I'm awake, and I call myself a dreamer, and I call myself a sleeper. Words are there in Sanskrit. Here I call myself a Vishwaha. Here I call myself a Taijasaha. Here I call myself a Prajnaha. Three names I have based on that experience. All right. So sum total of all this is Om. And so what does Om do? By doing like this, Om expresses everything. Sarvam. Sarvam. There's nothing left. In other words, it's complete. Om is a sound which expresses the whole. Okay. Uh, and and how did I learn this? I told you the story, and I don't mind repeating it again. And this is in the US when I was studying all these things, and suddenly I was there in a junior college. They have something called junior colleges, and then I was helping somebody register a semester, some kind of an undergraduate, first 2 years of undergraduate. They do there, and this somebody was standing right in front of me, a Caucasian white young man was there, and I saw him immediately. I noticed the he had a chain with a locket, Omkara, in that. I said, "Oh, you're." I pointed to that. I said, "Oh, you're having Om in your neck." Then he said, "Yes." And he began to explain to me. He said, "Om means everything." I said, "Okay, all right." So I didn't know Om is everything, first of all. And how do you respond to this boy, this young man? And he's saying confidently also. So he became from that day my guru for all the entire Shastra. The Shastra came through him to me. And I said, if this boy could know all this, what are you doing? Like that, that message was given to me. And so this is, that boy himself was clear about this. I don't know where I missed that, but it's possible to miss these things, I suppose. But then Pramanam is there. Pramanam is there. Upanishad herself gives the pramanam for this. That this is how you should load the letters. Upanishad herself gives the pramanam. And the pramanam is Mandukya Upanishad. If you Google Mandukya and go look at the first mantra. First mantra. Omityetadaksharam idam sarvam. Omityetadaksharam idam sarvam. Om is an aksharam. Aksharam means a one syllable sound. Once Om, it has three letters and all are there, but then it is only one syllable, Om. Om ityetad aksharam. This aksharam, idam sarvam. Idam sarvam. Idam sarvam means everything that is there here. Means the entire universe. Tasya upavyakhyanam. Okay. And that is explained in the following way. Why do I say Om is idam sarvam? And that Upanishad is explaining Bhutam Bhavishyat Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyaditi Sarvam. Sarvam means all the things in the past, all the things in the present, and all the things that are going to come in the future. That is the Upanishad's way of telling Sarvam Idam Sarvam. Okay. Bhavishyaditi Sarvam Omkaraha Eva. Makes it explicit. Past, present, and future. That is another way of dividing it. Is equal to Omkaraha. Past plus present plus future, if you want to say. Yacha anyat trikalatitam tadapi Omkaraha eva. If there is anything other than past, present, and future, that also is Omkaraha. Because we are all smart people, will come up with something. Upanishad knows. Okay, come up with something, that also is Omkaraha eva. Like that Upanishad says. All right. And the same Upanishad says elsewhere, the next mantra it says, Sarvam hi etat Brahma. Introducing another word, Brahma. You heard of Brahma before? Okay, that Brahma is Omkaraha. Ayam Atma Brahma. Mahavakyam, you heard this Mahavakyam. Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is that Brahma. Everything that I was saying, that he, she, and all, okay, convert all that to, convert all the pronouns to I. That is what he's saying. Upanishad, she is saying. Okay, I am Atma Brahman. Soyam Atma Chatushpat. That Atma has four parts, it seems. Four parts. Atma is four parts. My God, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying Atma is partless, Atma is shapeless, Atma is formless, Atma is colorless. Everything it is saying Adreshyam, Agrahyam, Agotram, Avardam, Achakshushrotram, Tadapani Padam. Mundaka, I've just studied that. Nityam Vibhum, Sarvagatam, Susukshmam, Tadavyayam, Bhutayonim, Paripashyanti Dhiraha, like that we saw recently. But this Upanishad is saying Atma is four parts. Four parts. Don't be scared. Okay. What is the first part? Jagarita sthanaha bahih prajnaha. That waking state, that entire, everything associated with the waking state, where this conscious being is bahih prajnaha, is just outward focused and just conscious of the entire universe and ready to understand the entire universe. Outward, extroverted. I don't want to say extroverted because it means something else. Let's leave it as bahish prajnaha, paranchikani. So that person whose the knowledge instruments are all focused outward. Thereby, that whatever knowledge is gained is of a world, and that world is called akaraha. Okay, jagarati sthanaha, prathamav padaha. That is the first part of the four parts I talked about. Okay. Now the second pada is going to come. What is that? Swapnasthanaha antah prajnaha. Swapnasthanaha antah prajnaha. Dritiyah padaha. Swapnasthanaha we talked about. It is the state of dream. Dream state. Antah prajnaha Means nothing. The sense organs are not working at all. Mind is also not working, really speaking. Mind is working in its internally. It is working. It is not processing the data from outside. It is just internal churn is happening, and therefore he's saying antah prajnaha. Okay, vidiyah padaha. It's the second part of the fourth part atma. All right. Then tritiyah padaha. Shushuptastanaha Pragnana Ghanaha Ananda Bhuk. Hey, there is another third part, which is that Sushupta Avastha, where there is no experience at all. No idea, no thought, no object, nothing is there. That is why Ananda Bhuk. This guy is pure experiencer of Ananda. Just Ananda, that's it. That's why everybody loves to sleep. Hmm. Sometimes I've heard some people saying, oh, if I sleep off, then I have this kind of problem and therefore I don't sleep. It's something they say, okay, that's a different problem. But they also want to sleep only. They also want to solve the problem and go to sleep normally like other people. So, Ananda Bhukya, that waking, that is deep sleep state where there is a pure experience of Ananda is called the third part, Tritiya Padaha. Okay, then he is going to learn that big mantra. Seventh mantra is there. Nantah prajnam, na bahish prajnam, na bhayatah prajnam, na prajnam, na prajnam. Then there also there is a adrishyam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam. Like that, there is a similar mantra to the one we studied in Mundaka that comes. So there he says, Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma Sa Vijñeyaha. So the Chatushpath, Turiyam and all they say, fourth part, that fourth part is what? Hey, it is none of these experiences. If you ask what is common in all these experiences, if you take a bangle, bangle excludes chain, chain excludes ring, ring excludes bracelet. Like this, every object excludes the other object. Is there something that these objects do not exclude? If somebody asks, what will you say? Obviously, it does not exclude gold. Bangle does not exclude gold, and all these other objects, ring also does not exclude gold. None of these golden ornaments excludes gold. That which cannot be excluded at all. Okay, in any of these three states. That is that for what I'm calling it as a fourth part of Atma. It is a way of expressing this Atma. It is a common underlying thread in all experiences. Okay, and if I say it's a common underlying thread, you might be able to quote that Bhagavad Gita mantra, Mai Sarvam Protam Sutre Manigana Iva. My Sarvam Protam. In me, everything is woven like cloth is being weaved. And what is cloth is being weaved means on what it is weaved. That is called Sutre Manigana Iva. Just like beads. All the beads are held together by a string, invisible string, and that string is me, like that he says. That example has limitations, we know that, but that's the example he gives. And that is what is said by the seventh mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. Chaturtham manyante sa atma. That is atma. Sa vijñeyaha. That must be understood. Sarve vedaha yat padam amananti. That padam is this atma. And I am atma brahma. Everything is coming together. Okay. So, see, this Kaivalya Upanishad is a short Upanishad. We'll if I can simply translate and keep explaining, we'll complete it in 2 classes. It'll be over. and we are not studying Shankara Bhashyam. And so, but you need to know a little more than basic students. That's why I'm telling you all these things. Okay, what did we do so far? The second meaning of Omkara we talked about. What is the first meaning of Omkara? It is a linguistic derivation, Avaman, of Omkara, which says the protector and sustainer of all. Second meaning of Omkara is a Vedic meaning of Omkara, where through the Upanishads, the Vedas is loading these letters A, U, and Ma, which then again derives, which gives the meaning of the entire universe. You gives the meaning of Brahma, Ishvara, Atma. Okay, that is the second meaning, loading of Veda. Because Om is a sound, so it has to be loaded for it to mean something. And third meaning of Omkara is a phonetic meaning of Omkara. Phonetic, purely sound-based derivation of the meaning of Omkara. And this also I've said a couple of times, many times. And so, again, I'll repeat it. In our conversations, we use words to communicate certain things. So when I say book, you know what I'm talking about. Then I show you specific book. Okay, Vishnu Sahasranama book. The entire book has meanings of every word based on Adi Shankaracharya's commentary. If I say, you understand it. Oh, I've seen the book. Or you might say, oh, I didn't know Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama. And okay, I see. Okay. So all these ideas you are getting just by uttering the word and showing this book. Okay. And so then if I talk about my two-wheeler scooter, and then which subject changes, two-wheeler scooter, this, that, etc. So much we can talk about that. Nothing to do with Vishnu Sahasranama. If I talk about our children's education, then that's a different area altogether. Nothing to do with the two-wheeler, nothing to do with this book. Like this, every word is taking us into a different world altogether. A word takes us to a world. And within that world, there are so many words which characterize various things, which help us appreciate that world. Every world is different. Every word is different. Every world is different. Yeah. So, words are so powerful in expressing what we want to know. We saw that before. Now, Bhagavan, Ishvara is all these worlds that we talked about. We tried to describe all the worlds combined is Ishvara. We have figured out how to give names to all these small things. Suppose I put all these things together and say, come on, give me a name for it. That's what I said earlier. We have to do Namakaranam now. Namakaranam means what? The child is born and you have to give a name. It's a process. It's a ritual. It's an important, very important ritual for this child because that child is going to live with that name forever. That it's going to be listening to that name. He won't call the name, but others will be calling out that name. So let that name be Bhagavan's name. Like that we say, and then we give the name of Bhagavan. Every culture does it. Every religion will do that. That's the idea there. And so, this Bhagavan, who is all names and all forms, okay, Bhuf Padav Yasya Namir Vedasura Chandra Surya Uchanetre. So Vishnu is there and Vishnu is visualized in this particular form. Bhuf Padav. The earth is the feet of Vishnu. Like that we visualize Vishnu in that manner. Okay, so that the entire universe is somehow represented by Vishnu. Like this, we have so many words and so many shlokas talking about the entire universe. Okay, and how Vishnu is lying on this, this Sheshashayi, okay, Ananta Padmanabha, and this serpent, he's powerful serpent, all these visualizations we have. Okay. So now, here, because every word excludes every other word, every object excludes every other object. If I say book, the book excludes every other object in the universe other than book. Excludes, completely excludes. And when I say car, car means only one thing. That's it. Every other trillions and trillions and trillions of things it excludes. And every word is excluding, every word is excluding, every word is excluding, even though it is useful for us. Now you have to have a word which cannot exclude anything. Because Ishvara cannot exclude anything. Okay, that's the idea. So what name will you give for this Bhagavan? Okay. If you pick a word from Sanskritam, then that word excludes English language. That because it's Sanskrit language, then Sanskrit language includes Tamil, it excludes Gujarati, it excludes Oriya, it excludes German, it excludes French. Because language, you have to know the language in order to identify that word. And then you say, no, Sanskrit is Deva Bhasha, the word should be from Sanskrit. Like that scientist who invented that protein in the mind which is responsible for joy. When you experience joy, he says that particular protein is involved in the process of creating that joyful experience, and he says that he names that protein as Anandamide. Anandamide. What a name it is. What a name it is. That scientist is not an ordinary scientist, because not only he knows the science of what's going on in the head, he knows a little about languages, and Sanskrit also he seems to know. Little bit at least. Ananda Mind, you Google it and find out. I think it was invented in 90s or 70s or something. Anyway, so if you say like that, Sanskrit is a good language too, then hey, look, in Sanskrit words, it's a great language, all right, and you can create words also. In fact, other languages, at least you can point to a dictionary and say, this is it. This dictionary has all the words in your language, English. It'll be a pretty big dictionary. Some concise, abridged is there, but okay, pick that big dictionary. That's it. There is no word in English as of today which is not there in this book. You can point to it. But Sanskritam, you can't do that. You can't do that because words are constantly created. You and I can create words in this class also. Yeah, we saw that before. And so, therefore, there is no such thing called a Sanskrit dictionary. Just for beginners and others, there is a dictionary, all right. We need to have a dictionary, and that's about it. Beyond that, it's all just coming up with words, and you have to break up the words and then go back to the dictionary and then look up the meanings of those fragments. And sometimes people wonder, oh my God, I looked up the dictionary, Guruji, the word is not there. This is it. This is a problem. This is a problem constantly. Word is not there means what is the actual dhatu you have to figure out. Gachati is there, gam dhatu. All right. Then big word has so many words, and then you have to break it up. So you have to know the art of breaking up also is there. All right. So if I say, I gave you this example before. Kulala putraha will not be there. Kulala putraha will not be there in Sanskrit. You have to understand it has two words, Kulala and Putraha. Putraha, I know. What is Kulala? Okay, look up Kulala. Kulala will likely be there. And pot maker. Kulala Putraha means son of a pot maker. Okay. Like this, we can have all these forms. Okay. I wrote an example here. Manufacturer of pharmaceutical intermediates. We have a Sanskrit teacher who's owns a company, and he's manufacturing this pharmaceutical intermediates. Means these drugs when they make, and in the process of making the drug molecule, there are some ingredients that are needed, and they are all called intermediates. Intermediate means just pre medicine. It's called something like pre medicine, the actual medicine. And so I came up with the word for it. You know what it is? Medicine means aushadham. Okay, manufacturer is nirmata. Aushadha nirmata, the manufacturer of aushadam, medicine. But medicinal intermediates. The word for intermediate is madhyavarti. Aushadha madhyavarti nirmata. If I say, you can't say it is wrong. You have to figure out the meaning. Oh, I think that's what he means. You should figure it out. How? By breaking it out and then figuring out, okay, this is what it means. Oh, you are doing that business. Yes. So, therefore, now what happens? No language is capable of, every language will be found to be incomplete, inadequate to express Bhagavan. Okay, to express Bhagavan. Therefore, this linguistic approach has to be given up. And now we have to come back to a phonetic approach and see if phonetic approach works, because this phonetics, even letters you have to give up, because English A B C D, Hindi A, Sanskrit is different, and every other language is different. And so the language will limit our expression of name for Bhagavan. Language also is not adequate. Then what? Then therefore we have to give up letters also. And so we have to come back basically to phonetics, sounds. So then we say, okay, make a sound by opening your mouth. Open the mouth and make a sound. Anybody in this universe, any human being. Okay, let's stick to human beings. Otherwise, you will come up with other words. I may not have a answer for it. So human beings opening a sound. That's how it will be. Is coming. Then close the mouth. As you keep saying close the mouth. Close the mouth. Refers to, okay, close the mouth. So then our rishis say this is made up of three letters. I heard three letters that you said u, and makara. Exactly like we saw before. In the derivation also we saw that. And Mandukya Upanishad, there also loading we saw that. Phonetic also the same thing is coming. And since the entire universe is Nama Rupa, is names and forms, and Nama is what characterizes the universe. Because every object in the universe, I have a word for it. I have a word for it. And a word is nothing but sound, or a group of sounds. Group of sounds. Okay. Narayana, if I say Narayana, is a group of syllables, group of sounds. And so, the entire universe is represented by a group of sounds. Every sound is uttered with either the mouth open or the mouth closed or the mouth partially open, partially closed. And therefore, we say that the sound Om, which comes from the fully open mouth to the fully closed mouth, represents all the sounds a human being can come up with. And what is Ishvara? Ishvara represents everything. It is not one object, but all object, namely the entire Jagat. Therefore, the right name for Jagat should be Om. Because Om covers all sounds, which covers all things, which is the entire universe. Okay. So this is the phonetic derivation of Om, phonetic meaning of Om. Okay. Where's the clock? That is why he says, Omityetat tatte padam sangrahena bravimi Omityetat. Yamaha said that in Kathopanishad. I remember Swami talking about this. And he says, we've spent so much time on analyzing this Om. Okay. Initially, we use Om to develop bhakti. And that sound Om is that's it. If the minute you utter Om, everybody will come to attention. Now, this is, they don't know any language, Sanskrit, they don't know. But the minute in India, if you say Om, that's it. Something, a prayer is going on, a chanting is going on. It is spiritual, it is religious, period. Why? Because of all this loading. All this loading. And so we have been chanting this Om for so many years now. As children, we started, and with devotion, it built devotion in us, and with devotion, we chanted it. Now the time has come for us to analyze the Omkara, which is what we have done today, which the Upanishad introduced through that word Pranava. I'll come to that also. And Swamiji said once, they say Om is a primordial sound. Om is what? It's a primordial sound. Primordial sound means what? Now I have to look up the dictionary to figure out what is primordial. Ordeal, I know. Ordeal, I know. Because we've gone through many ordeals. Prima ordeal means what? And we have to look up. People say so many things. Big Bang, the ordeal that happened, is that what they call Big Bang? A primordial? A primary ordeal, first ordeal that happened must be Big Bang. No, that is not primordial. We don't know what primordial is. And they say the entire world came through sounds. Shiva danced and produced many sounds. Ayun, Riluk, A, Ong, I, Ouch, Hayavar, Tilan. Is that what it is? A. Don't get carried away by all these words. Primordial, Swamiji said once, I remember. Word primordial itself, we don't know what it is. We are talking about the process of creation in a very systematic manner. Let's not make it more mystical by attributing all these ethereal things, primordial sound and all. If you say, it only confuses things like that, he used to say. So, Om is Abhidhanam. And what is Abhideya? Abhideya, that which is referred to by the sound Om, is Ishvaraha. Jagat. Abhidhana, Abhideya. This is, we wanted to come to this. That's why so much introduction was needed. And so, that Omkara has gained a lot of importance, sanctity, because of the sanctity it has, and because of the significance it has, like that boy in the college told us, and that kind of significance it has, and that's what we studied in the Bhagavad Gita also. What was the context? What was the shloka? What was the shloka?
Aksharanam Pranama
Okay.
Aksharanamakarosmi.
And then?
Omiteka
Omityekaksharam Brahman. Very good. Very good. One more is there. Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanastrividah Smritaha. Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanastrividah. Like that. Brahmana Astena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihitah Pura. Vihitah Pura, long ago, it was said, Nirdeshaha Om Tat Sat Iti. That particular statement also was given. That truth is Om. Om Tat Sat. Like that also in the 17th chapter it was said. And we chant it. When we study Brahma Sutram, we chant this shloka. What is the shloka? ओंकारश्चात शब्दश्च द्वावेतौ ब्रह्मणः पुरा कंठं भित्त्वा विनिर्यातौ तस्मात् मांगलिकावुभौ ओम अथ ओम अथ ओम अथ. Like that we chant. There it says ओंकारश्चात शब्दश्च. Omkaraha and atha. These two are very sacred. Mangaliko ubau. Mangaliko. These two are too sacred for us. Why? Because Brahmaji, when he uttered, these two words came out in the beginning. Like that the shloka says. Therefore, it is very sacred for us. Because that Brahma Sutra begins with the word atha. Athato Brahma Jignasa. So that atha is very significant. Anyway, so here, Pranavaha. Prakarshena nuyate abhidiyate brahma iti pranavaha. Prakarshena nuyate. That which expresses this Brahma, Ishvara, Jagat very well is called pranavaha. Pranavaha. That which expresses very well is pranavaha. But in this case, that word pranava is the name for Om. Om itself is a name for Bhagavan. And then the Om is so sacred. We can't spoil it by saying Om just like that. It has to be kept in a casket. It has to be kept secure. And so we call it Pranavaha. Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnani Kamurtaye. So Pranava is a name for Om. Okay, like that we say here. So Prakarshena Nuyate Abhidiyate Brahma Anena Iti Pranavaha Omkaraha. So that is the significance which is said by Mandukya Upanishad, which was mentioned by Krishna also briefly. Without going into all the details of Akara, Ukara, Makara, Krishna mentioned Om is sacred. Okay.
Mahodaya, can you repeat that expresses what now? That expresses?
Om is a sound. Om is the Abhidhana. Abhidhana, which expresses very well. Prakarshena nuyate. Prakarshena, very well. Nuyate, expresses, represents. That which represents something very well is called pranavaha. That is the general meaning of pranavaha. But here it is supposed to express the sum total of all the words and all the objects we know. And all the objects and words we don't know also. It has to express. Because that is Jagat we are talking about. We are talking about Ishvara, which is everything. Sarvam idam. Pandukya. Sarvam idam sarvam. So that expressing that seemingly unexpressible is this pranavaha. Yeah, pranavaha. So pranavaha, best name because it is language independent, because it's a sound symbol. We use Sanskrit to derive meaning, that is fine, but it is language independent sound. Sound is always language independent. Any sound. And so, in short, we say avati rakshati iti om. Avati rakshati. Av, because av is the dhatu for om. If you look at it linguistically, therefore av is the dhatu. Therefore avati, which means rakshati, jo raksha karta hai, vah omkar hai. And our Punjabis also they say ek omkar. Ek omkar. That's it. Guru Granth Sahib. If you want to summarize the whole thing, ek omkar. All Veda only. All Veda. Veda unites this whole culture is united by the Veda. That is why the West spent so much time on studying Sanskrit. You think they had love for Sanskrit? Yeah, some of them learned Sanskrit. They studied Sanskrit to understand the Veda. They studied Veda so that they could translate it in a way that will influence our minds in a wrong way. Some exceptions are there. I'm not just generalizing. And all this time, 200 years, they have wasted and ruined a whole civilization. It is what it is. Very sad it is. But this is the unity. The Veda makes us all one family, right? And it makes the entire universe one family, really speaking. But so then, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, in the 7th chapter also we saw, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi shashishuryayoho, pranava sarva vedeshu, shabdah ke paurusham andrishu. Okay, there also we saw this pranavaha. So now you got Veda, and the Veda, we use the Veda mantras, we chant it throughout our life, and then we grow up with the Veda, then Karma Yoga Buddhi comes, and Karma Yoga Buddhi gives us all that samskara we talked about to understand what the Shastra, what the Upanishad is talking about. Okay. Even the Veda Pandits in the Veda Patashalas, they also have to know the essence of the Upanishads. Only then moksha is possible. And so that growth happens. And then sannyasa ashrama is there. Ashrama represents that growth process. And for a sannyasi, the same shastram which mandates the Veda to all of us, okay, takes away the Veda from the sannyasi. Because the sannyasi does not need any of these things anymore. Why? Because the sannyasi is a jnani. In this case, a Vidvat sannyasi is a jnani. Jnani will not respond to anything because jnani is krita krityaha. Okay, krita krityaha. There is no, a person whose stomach is full, you can't attract him with any full, complete. You can't. Gulab jamun. You only said you like gulab jamun? Yeah, but I had 5, 6 already. Now what can I do? Oh, I have 7. What is wrong? You want to have 7th? Tomorrow I will see. Okay, that means what happened? Not interested, that's it. So, sannyasi can't be excited by Veda also, even though the sannyasi can teach the Veda. And so, for that person, the entire Veda is collapsed into Gayatri Mantra. In fact, Gayatri Mantra is collapsed into Vyakriti Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. Gayatri Mantra is Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha Tatsavidurvare Enyam Bharko Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Then that is collapsed into this one, Vyakriti, which is Om Bhur Bhuvassuvaha. And that is further collapsed into what is called Omkaraha Pranavaha. Pranavaha refers to the entire Veda. For a sannyasi, Pranava mantra is the only mantra that is there. Only a sannyasi can utter the word Om by itself. You and I cannot utter the word Om by itself. Om Namah Shivaya we can say. Om Sahana Vavatu we can say. But you can't say Om. Om. Generally it is not part of the tradition. Not part of the tradition. And so, that's the idea here. Om Namah Shivaya, if you say, Om refers to Nirgunam Brahma. Om Namah Shivaya refers to Sagunam Brahma. Om Namo Narayanaya, Sagunam Brahma. Nirgunam Brahma, Sagunam Brahma. Okay. So, that's the introduction today for Pranava. And then next class, I think we should be able to complete this mantra. And so, Atmanam Aranim Kritva, going back to that allegory, that simile, imagery that's given about the Arani Mathanam, and use Omkara for your benefit. For the churn that has to happen in the head, Omkara is a good tool to have like that. this Upanishad is saying. And further benefits of that churning process also will be talked about in this mantra. आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
धन्यवादः।